Let's get this movable feast underway, shall we? Number 1. Ahvaytum. Described on January 8th, this animal was a basal sauropodomorph, which essentially just means it was an early relative of everyone's favorite tiny-brained land whales, the giant long-necked sauropods. However, Ahvaytum itself was a small, slender biped reaching only about 3 feet in length. It lived in Wyoming and is known from the late Triassic Age fossil material dated to about 230 million years ago. Ahvaytum was the oldest known dinosaur from the Northern Hemisphere, and its discovery challenges previous hypotheses of dinosaur origins. In other words, the unearthing of this tiny dinosaur is a very big deal. Number 2. Dzharacursor. Described on January 9th, this ornithomimosaur theropod lived in Uzbekistan during the late Cretaceous some 92 million years ago. Ornithomimosaurs were a group of two-legged, likely herbivorous dinosaurs which superficially resembled modern-day ostriches and emus. The group's most famous member, Gallimimus, gained stardom after acting in Jurassic Park, and the group also included Duonychus, which was admittedly less of an ostrich and more of a freaky duck on steroids. As they possessed fairly long legs, most ornithomimosaurs were likely fast runners, which would have been a blessing for Dzharacursor as, like late 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger, it had to deal with dangerous predators. Number 3. Tameryraptor. Described on January 14th, this 30-foot-long carnivore was actually not closely related to dinosaurs like Velociraptor, and therefore was another sickening example of blatant false advertising in the prehistoric world. Instead, it was a Carcharodontosaur theropod, related to animals like Acrocanthosaurus and Giganotosaurus. Tameryraptor lived in Egypt during the late Cretaceous, roughly 95 million years ago, and it had a small horn-like structure protruding from its snout. Why it needed such a structure is anyone's guess, but my money's on it was tryharding to get out from under the shadow of its undeniably cooler neighbor Spinosaurus. Number 4. Mexidracon. Described on January 28th, this dinosaur was a relatively small ornithomimosaur theropod, measuring only about 8.2 feet in length. Its name means dragon from Mexico, and it lived in, well, Mexico during the late Cretaceous about 72.5 million years ago. Mexidracon is notable for its extremely lengthened metacarpals, hand bones, which, like modern-day sloths, may have allowed it to more efficiently gather yummy plants. Additionally, based on comparisons of its limb bones to those of its relatives, Mexidracon may have been ill-equipped for running at high speeds, suggesting it didn't particularly care for ornithomimosaur family tradition. Number 5. Petrustitan. Described on February 20th, this Titanosaurian sauropod lived in Romania during the late Cretaceous, specifically around 70 million years ago. This means it lived just before everyone's favorite mass extinction, you know the one where all the non-bird dinosaurs were wiped out when a colossal asteroid, 6 freaking miles wide, smashed into the earth. Just like how you should start smashing the like button if you're enjoying this video. Yeah, that one. Petrustitan avoided that mess by a few million years. Lucky duck relative. Number 6. Uriash. Also described on February 20th, this herbivore was also a titanosaurian sauropod from late Cretaceous Romania. 70 million years ago, Romania looked very different than it does today. For one thing, there were no Gothic castles, and for another, much of the landscape was submerged by the Tethys Sea. Uriash and Petrustitan lived on Hatseg, i.e. the scariest island of all time. Yes, even scarier than San Andreas in GTA Online. Hatseg was ruled by carnivorous, flying reptiles as big as a light aircraft and as tall as a giraffe when on the ground. Uriash needn't worry itself though, because at 5.5 to 8.8 tons, it was one of the largest European land animals of all time. Number 7. Huadanosaurus. Described on February 20th, this small carnivore was a Coelurosauran theropod that lived in China during the early Cretaceous some 125 million years ago. It is only known from a single fossil, but said fossil is so complete it turns other dinosaur fossils green with envy. Its fossil is so complete, in fact, that it comes with preserved melanosomes, pigment cells, that tell us what color its feathers were. Yes, I'm sorry, not sorry, awesome bros, Huadanosaurus was definitely feathered. On at least part of its body, its feathers were a reddish brown. Number 8. Chadititan. Described on March 5th, this animal was yet another titanosaurian sauropod. However, it lived in Argentina during the late Cretaceous about 78 million years ago. Argentina, if you did not know, has become a goldmine for paleontology in the last few decades, as some of the largest dinosaur fossils have been discovered there. Because of this, Chadititan's 23-foot length is, shall we say, rather unimpressive. Also, none of its fossils show signs of osteoderms, bony plates embedded within the skin, a really cool feature found in other titanosaurs. In other words, Chadititan was certainly no Chad. Number 9. Duonychus. Described on March 25th, this strange creature lived in Mongolia during the late Cretaceous between 96 and 90 million years ago. It was a Therizinosaur theropod, which, by the way, was the greatest group of non-avian dinosaurs ever, and like all known Therizinosaurs, it had some wicked claws. However, unlike its relatives, it only had 2 fingers per hand, more similar to everyone's favorite franchise logo, T-Rex. Duonychus was an herbivore, and it used its claws to help pull vegetation towards its mouth. If it were alive today, however, then it would likely use its massive claws to